From Recorded Future News and PRX, this is Click Here. When you think about propaganda, you probably picture spectacle of fiery political speech.
This year they say there are 800,000 pairs of boots standing heel to heel, waiting for the Führer's final speech.
Or a film like Hitler's Triumph of the Will.
Every shot, every crowd, and every camera angle was chosen for psychological impact.
It's big, it's deliberate, it wants to be seen. And because of that, it's easy to recognize.
They were carefully staged, rehearsed, and edited to send a clear political message that Hitler was a savior figure and that the Nazi movement was unstoppable and universally adored.
But that's not the only way propaganda works. Sometimes, at first blush, it doesn't look like propaganda at all. No stage, no sweeping music, just a message, dispatched from a place you already trust.
И после этого в этой группе стать.
All of a sudden, these posts started appearing on the school page of make sure that you support the war, that older kids should sign up, everybody should contribute money to the war effort.
From Recorded Future News and PRX, this is Click Here, a show about the people making and breaking our digital world. I'm Dina Temple-Raston. And today on the show, an inside look at how propaganda actually works. Not as a slogan, not as a speech, but as something quieter. Something that shows up in places like a school. This is a scenario Pavel Talankin never thought he'd find himself in.
Что все так оказалось просто.
For me, the most painful thing was how simple it all wound up seeming.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Click Here. I'm Dina Temple-Raston. Today, our story begins in Karabakh, a small Russian town in the Ural Mountains you've probably never heard of. Pavel Talankin, everyone calls him Pasha, had lived there all his life. He grew up there, went to school there, and became a teacher there. And for him, Karabakh wasn't just home, it was everything. And then, in 2022, after Russia launched its full-fledged invasion of Ukraine, the place he thought he knew began to change. Pasha, let me just start by saying that it's really good to meet you, and thank you very much for trusting us with your story.
Thank you too.
I spoke to him through an interpreter, and before the war, his job at the school was simple. He helped kids create things.
Моя работа заключалась в том, чтобы организовывать различные праздники.
So my job at the school was to organize all kinds of holidays and festivals, concerts, competitions, trivia nights.
He was the quintessential AV guy, helping kids make their own movies, teaching them how to edit, how to perform, trying to set them up for brighter futures. Like this one girl he mentored. She applied to college using a portfolio of the work that they'd done together.
И она привезла
Everything she had shot, everything she had edited together. And when she was applying, the professors looking at her portfolio said, wow, we have students who already have gone through training here who don't do anything like this that you've only done in high school.
That must have made you feel very proud.
Конечно.
Of course, I was incredibly proud.
Да.
And then, February 2022, Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And at first, it felt far away, because Pasha lived in Karabakh, a small town in the Ural Mountains, so remote that Stalin used to send undesirables there. It's nearly 1,500 miles from the front lines. But when the war arrived in Karabakh, it didn't come with an explosion. It arrived more quietly, inside a school curriculum.
Стали поступать уроки,
All of a sudden, from the Ministry of Education, all of these materials started to be sent to our school and to all of the schools with different curriculums and methodology and programs, even videos. There were very concrete instructions on what the teachers should say and how they should say it.
In other words, these weren't suggestions. These were scripts. And they came with instructions for Pasha, too.
Мне позвонила
The assistant director of the school called me into her office and said, Pavel, now in addition to all of your other duties, you're going to need to film all of these new things happening in the school because we will have to report back and have to prove that we're fulfilling them.
He wasn't just recording school life anymore. His camera had a new purpose. It was capturing compliance.
чтобы все, что присылает министерство.
And so all of this could be documented and uploaded to the Ministry of Education as proof.
Proof the lessons were delivered. Proof the message had made it into the classroom. And once it did, it showed up everywhere. This is from one of his recordings. After school used to mean clubs and sports. Now those spaces morphed into something like grenade-throwing contests. Even the ABCs were repurposed. A is for Army, they said. B is for Brotherhood. And in history class, a rewriting of the past.
Да, и вот однажды я пошел снимать самый первый
And
урок, который
in this one lesson, a teacher said in the very, very beginning when all this began that, Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, we're all one people. We share the same fairy tales. We share so much culturally. But unfortunately now Ukraine has turned to Nazism and we must save them.
Watching the teachers deliver propaganda, the weight of what he was filming began to sink in.
Но вот первый урок, который я
And I
слышал, вот он
realized from that moment that what I was capturing here was an archive and a chronicle that I was filming history. And what I was filming is an answer to the question in 5 or 10 years of why this generation is who they are.
Pasha wasn't just hearing the propaganda, he was watching how it was built. Because a country isn't just shaped on the battlefield. Sometimes it's shaped somewhere quieter. Vladimir Putin clearly understands this. Commanders don't win wars, he once said. Teachers do. And Pasha was watching that idea take hold right before his eyes. And in no time at all, the students and their teachers weren't just receiving the message from Moscow, they were performing it.
Мы должны были строить детей.
All of a sudden, we had to have the children sing songs that we would film, and then they would be sent off to the front. They had to write letters to soldiers. The students were instructed to put the letter Z, which is a sign of support for the war, and glue that and paste it up everywhere on different places.
The letter Z, first seen painted on Russian military vehicles, had quickly become a public symbol of support for the invasion. It started to show up all over the school, on posters, on walls, until it was almost impossible to see the school without seeing it. At first, it felt performative. Sometimes Pasha's camera caught teachers rolling their eyes or students snickering. Even some of the youngest could see right through it.
Так, например, в фильме есть фрагмент.
For example, there's this moment in the film where, it said to the teacher, blink twice if you're being forced to say all of this. And she very clearly blinks twice, and then the children understood everything.
But over time, something shifted. The absurd became familiar, and the familiar became acceptable, like on the school's social media channel.
И после этого в этой группе стали...
All of a sudden, these posts started appearing on the school page of make sure that you support the war, that older kids should sign up, everybody should contribute money to the war effort.
Soon, teachers were donating items like socks and canned meat, and then chipping in money to help fund the war. So, was it the propaganda itself that was so painful for you, or was it watching people that you'd known for so long change?
Для меня было больным, что все так оказалось просто.
For me, the most painful thing was how simple it all wound up seeming.
That was the part that stayed with him. Not the size of it, not even the content, but the ease. It was so upsetting to Pasha that he started to push back. Not openly, not in an obvious way, but with a small test to see if anyone was really watching.
Я проделал эксперимент. Я сделал
So
такую
I
операцию.
decided to
Я
conduct a little
оставил
experiment.
начало урока
I
и
filmed
конец
the
урока.
beginning of a lesson and I filmed the end of the lesson, and I left everything in the middle blank. So it was an academic hour of 45 minutes, but there was no content in the middle. And I sent all of that off as a completed work, and I was sitting and waiting. Will they come back to me and criticize me?
Nothing came back. No comment, no reprimand. No one had checked. And that told him everything. Did you feel like they were trying to use you as a pawn?
Это так и было.
That's exactly what it was. They were using me as a pawn.
В этот момент я понял то, что
I was there standing there as a figure for the teachers to say, watch out, I'm here watching you, I'm here filming you, make sure you do everything correctly. Make sure you read from this paper and don't take a step to the left or the right, I am here.
But as the months passed, something shifted. The propaganda started getting louder, more direct, and much more disturbing. That's when we come back. Stay with us.
It is called Internet.
I use the World Wide Web information superhighway.
Cybersecurity. Why do things go viral?
Welcome back. At first, the changes at Pasha school were subtle. A tweak to the curriculum, messages tucked into lessons, but then it became more heavy-handed, morphing into something much harder to explain away. He remembers the day that became clear. The day fighters from the Wagner Group, once a private mercenary force now operating under the state, showed up at the school for a show and tell. They had set up shop in the auditorium, and as part of the presentation, they were handing children landmines and rifles.
Я помню, как Маша потом пришла ко мне.
It was horrible. Like, one of them is talking about how he lost his leg. Another one is talking about how to kill people. Another one is talking about what weapons are better and which weapons are worse. And another one is saying, make sure you don't have your helmet tied, fastened, because then you can wind up when you're shot, your head explodes.
That sound from inside the auditorium that day, footage Pasha recorded. And the popping you hear? That's a child handling and pulling the trigger of a semi-automatic rifle, all presented as if it was just another lesson.
Но это отвратительно.
It's disgusting. It was disgusting watching it.
Это отвратительно.
By then, Pasha could see what all of this was doing to his students. The dissonance was everywhere. Between children at play and the military show and tell, between the realities of war and what they were being asked to say about it. And he began to see how it was affecting individual students, like Masha. Masha's brother was being sent to fight in Ukraine, and she was terrified for him. And at the same time, her teachers were sticking to the script, repeating over and over that the war was virtuous. Pasha couldn't understand how Masha was supposed to hold those two realities together.
Некоторые почему-то не понимают этого.
They don't understand what is it criminal that's being done to Masha.
Я говорю, давайте просто поменяем слова.
It's very clear to actually understand if you just switch the words. Let's call it cancer. Everyone knows that Masha's brother is going to die from cancer. He has cancer and he doesn't have long to live. But then Masha is forced to come to school and sing songs in praise of cancer and draw pictures about how wonderful cancer is and glue things on the wall saying, glory to cancer, glory to cancer. And I mean, imagine what that must be like for somebody.
And it wasn't just Masha. It was everywhere.
Я был зол на то, что
They were requiring teachers to buy socks. They had to bring canned milk and canned beef and toothbrushes. And what made me so angry was also how simple it all was. It's all so normal. Yes, let's just throw some money in. Yes, let's write these letters and let's do these lessons and let's send in these lessons.
That's when something started to shift in Pasha. Not all at once, just a growing sense that he couldn't let it pass. And it nudged him to do something. not inside the system, but outside of it. Around that time, Pasha came across a message online. An American filmmaker was asking a simple question. How had jobs changed in Russia since the start of the war? Pasha wrote back.
And you wrote that you were being asked to do the exact opposite of what you thought a teacher should do. What compelled you to send that?
Но скорее ярость, потому что
I think it was fury that prompted me to send that, because at that moment, I was just so angry about what was happening.
And with that, Pasha had a different kind of audience. Not just the Ministry of Education, but someone who wanted to understand the truth of what was really happening. So he made a decision. He could do more than just reply to that message, he thought. He could send this American filmmaker, David Borenstein, his footage. With something as simple as a video camera, Pasha, a lone teacher in a quiet corner of Russia, could reach far beyond his classroom and show how propaganda actually works. Not as something loud or dramatic, but as something that settles in until it starts to feel ordinary. He tried to explain it to David.
Я помню, мы когда с Дэвидом встретились первый раз
And I
в Турции,
showed him
я
the
ему
picture,
показал.
barge haulers on the Volga.
It's a famous 19th century Russian painting.
Вдоль по Волге бурлаки тянут
These
корабль,
men
работают.
along the Volga River, they are pulling the boat. But only one of them, in the middle, a young man, his head is up and he's looking off in the distance and he has his hand on his chest and he's like, what? Why? Why are we forced to do this? Why do we need to do this?
For Pasha, that painting helped him make sense of what he was seeing. A system carried forward by the very people it was weighing down because no one stopped to ask why. So Pasha decided to do what the man in the painting did, ask that question in his own way by showing the world his videos. Every day, Pasha would film, then copy the footage, and then secretly send it to David. Carefully, deliberately. He did it for months, all the while never quite sure who might be paying attention. And by 2023, someone was.
You start to sense that danger is closing in, and one day you notice a police car outside.
Но скорее ярость.
One day that car appeared outside my window. It arrived at 8 a.m. It left at 8 p.m. There were people sitting in it. I could see them. Occasionally they'd go out to the store and they'd get a coffee. They'd come back. I mean, and I know everybody in my building. I know all of my neighbors. I know their cars. They always park in the same spots. I know all the local police. And who these people were, I don't know.
He considered staying in Russia and just moving to some other town. But the laws were changing. What you could say, what you could film, what counted as a crime.
Но потом стали
All
вводиться
of these
эти
very restrictive and oppressive laws started being passed, that it became illegal to speak about the war or to say anything negative about the war. And certain acts became treasonous and it just became impossible.
So he made a choice. He left the school, the town, his country, and the footage he was sending to that filmmaker became something else, a film. He's the narrator and one of the directors of a documentary called Mr. Nobody Against Putin. It premiered, and exactly what Pasha had hoped for happened. People all over the world heard what he was trying to say. At the Sundance Film Festival, the documentary started to build a buzz. A low hum at first that just kept growing, until finally...
And the Oscar for documentary feature film goes to Mr. Nobody Against Putin, David Borenstein.
What has been your favorite response from people in Karabakh to the film?
Мы дождемся, когда ты приедешь.
We're waiting for you to come visit.
Мы переломаем тебе коленки,
We're going to break your knees
и ты будешь ползать и извиняться перед нами, перед всеми.
and you're going to crawl on the ground and apologize in front of all of us.
Это мой самый любимый
That's
комментарий.
my favorite response to the film.
Oh my goodness.
про изменения в системе образования.
Even the Kremlin's press secretary Peskov was asked about it at a press conference.
Локальные средства массовой
They
информации
described the film
используют новые
as
слова,
a film about the changes in the educational system.
Они не говорят слово «пропаганда».
They don't use the word propaganda.
Также они не упоминают название фильма.
And they never refer to the name of the film, Mr. Nobody Against Putin.
So looking back on it now, Pasha, do you feel like you were documenting propaganda or documenting how propaganda reshapes people?
И он говорит, что сначала это
First, it becomes part of the routine, and it's more difficult. Oh, why are they making us do this? And we're forced to do this.
Потом это становится культурой, частью.
But then it just becomes the culture of like what you do every day and just part of the educational system.
А затем это становится клеткой, в которую люди заходят.
And after that, it becomes a cage into which people walk.
И посмотреть на многих
When
учителей.
people are walking
даже иногда
into
моя
this cage, but the doors are still open, but nobody is leaving because it's more comfortable there.
They didn't walk into it all at once, but step by step, lesson by lesson, until the thing reshaping their reality felt like just a normal day at school. That was Pasha Talankin, the star and co-creator of Mr. Nobody Against Putin, now an Oscar-winning documentary. And special thanks to filmmaker and Mr. Nobody executive producer Robin Hessman, who did the amazing real-time interpretation that made our conversation with Pasha possible. This is Click Here. Here's what you need to know about the tech world this week. It's Tuesday, May 5th. First, new reporting out of Washington. The Trump administration is weighing whether to vet advanced AI models before they're released to the public. According to a report in the New York Times, officials are discussing whether companies should be required to submit their most powerful systems for government review, citing national security concerns. One possibility? An executive order that creates an AI working group of tech executives and government officials to consider how the oversight might work, or perhaps develop a system that would give the government first access to new AI models. An AI review would be an about-face for the Trump administration. It rolled back Biden administration efforts to have AI developers perform safety evaluations and report on AI models with possible military applications before they release them. Meanwhile, Elon Musk has spent days on the witness stand in California as part of his lawsuit against OpenAI. Musk was one of OpenAI's founders, and he's suing the company for abandoning its nonprofit mission to build AI for the benefit of humanity. Instead, he argues, it's now just another profit-driven tech company.
I was a fool. I gave them free funding to create a startup. That's what Elon Musk told the court today in his big trial against OpenAI.
Musk, who now runs a rival AI company, wants OpenAI's leadership, including founder Sam Altman, removed. Observers say the case is about more than just a personal feud, although it's about that too. Fundamentally, it's about control. Who shapes AI, who profits from it, and whether something this powerful can really serve the public while operating as a business. And then, a story that sounds like a nightmare AI scenario.
This morning, questions are being raised about the safety of artificial intelligence after a tech CEO claimed an AI tool wiped out all of his company's data in just 9 seconds.
A startup called Pocket OS says one of its AI agents made a single call to its cloud system and deleted its entire production database. The company's founder said it wasn't just some crazy mistake. The AI agent acknowledged that it had violated its own safeguards, but did it anyway. The data was eventually recovered, and critics say you shouldn't blame the AI. It's the humans who gave the agent too much access. Cautionary tales like this have been piling up recently. In March, Amazon tightened internal rules after an AI coding error lost 6.3 million orders. Instead of vibe coding, this seems to be a case of vibe deleting. Meanwhile, Meta just hit a great wall in China.
China ordering to cancel Meta's $2 billion acquisition of agentic AI startup Manus.
Beijing blocked Meta's attempt to buy Manus, an emerging leader in so-called agentic AI. Agentic AI are systems that don't just chat, they act. They can write code, they can book travel, and they can make decisions. Meta wanted into Manus' systems, and China said no way. And finally, Palantir Technologies, a company known for its surveillance software, has a new product, jackets.
Palantir is releasing a French chore jacket. And if you thought those two things in the same sentence were weird, you're right.
Yes, a chore coat, originally worn by French laborers, but now reimagined as part of what Palantir calls its mission to reindustrialize America. The coats are made in Montana, and they cost $239, and they're already sold out. Critics see it as a branding ploy, a bid by Palantir to gain cultural credibility. But fashion insiders warn that a surveillance-linked company and its supporters will probably always struggle with pulling off being cool. Click Here is a production of Recorded Future News and PRX. Today's show was written and produced by Megan Dietrich, Sean Powers, Erica Gaida, Zach Hirsch, and Casey Georgie. It was edited by Karen Duffin and Sarah Quevedo, and fact-checked by Darren Ankrum. Original music is by Ben Livingston, with additional music from Blue Dot Sessions. Our staff writer is Lucas Riley, our illustrator is Megan Goff, and our sound designers and engineers are Jake Cook and Jesse Neiswanger. Find us on X or Facebook at Click Here Show, or leave us a voice message at 661-5CH-TALK. Sometimes we'll turn those moments into reporting, sometimes into a conversation, and sometimes into a future story you'll hear on this show. I'm Dina Temple-Reston, and thanks for listening.